Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the Anime Banter podcast with your host, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing really well. How about you guys?
My allergies are killing me.
Oh, sorry to hear.
I hear that. I might sound a little nasally, so apologies in advance.
Knock on the table where I'm sitting and recording. I have no ailments at the moment, so
See how long that lasts, huh?
that's right. I'm pulling for you guys though. We can do this.
I am very excited to talk about the anime today.
Oh boy, these are good.
So, with that, we have a lot to talk about this week. Let's jump right into it. Today, we are talking about episodes 11 and 12 of Chainsaw Man. Episode 11, Mission Start. Alright, let's just start off. I love the absurdity of the future devil. At the end of episode 10, we're made to believe that this devil is some badass. We hear the one person had to give up half their lifespan, another person had to give up their sense of taste and smell as well as both their eyes. And then we see this big intimidating eyeball at the end of episode 10 and to start this episode as well. And then the light shows up and it's this wacky looking devil, like tree looking devil, and he keeps going, the future rules, the future rules, the future rules, and he's doing a little dance and he's like, come on, guy, say it with me.
This is the same devil that's in the intro. It shows up for like just a brief moment, couple frames of him doing a little dance, and I didn't put it together. So when they finally revealed this thing, I face palmed a little bit. He's very silly.
Yeah, every single episode I watch the opening and I'm like, they show a weird devil looking guy just dancing. When are we gonna see that guy? And we saw that guy. I was like really excited, like unnecessarily excited. Like you shouldn't be excited about something like this, but I'm like, hey, that's the guy from the opening.
He's very silly. So far, I like him.
I just love the absurdity of him. And I love how Aki is just he has zero time for any of this shit.
Oh yeah, he's all business. I'm here to get some new ability. Let's go.
He's like, I'm here to make a deal. I'm not here to sing. I'm not here to dance. What do you want from me? Let's do this. So we learn the future devil won't decide on the contract until it sees Aki's future. And to do that, Aki has to stick his head into the future devil's chest. And all I could think of was, Aki, you motorboating son of a bitch, you old sailor, you.
It's just this giant floating eyeball. He's like, "Come on, stick your head in here."
Let me rub my eyeball against you. So we find out that the future devil wants to reside in Aki's eye, and the only thing Aki has to give up is knowing that Aki will die in the worst possible way. And the future devil's like, "Do you want to know how you die?" And he's like, "Nah, I don't got time for that shit."
Yeah, this is one of those moments where I'm like, man, they've already shown that this show is pretty dark. And I'm learning very quickly to maybe not get attached to characters too much because they build these characters up and it looks like they're going to take a lot of them away from us.
Oh yeah, they've already taken several. Some more important to the story than others have been. But yeah, this
Rest in
show,
peace, Hirokazu Arai, my
yes,
favorite character.
this show is not afraid to go there and just start murdering everybody.
This felt like an absolute bargain for Aki when you consider he only has 2 years of life left.
Yeah, I mean, he must really go out in a gruesome way, and that must humor the future devil enough where he's like, "Yeah, you can have some of my power."
So maybe it was just me, but the future devil's chest eyeball reminded me a lot of Makima's eyes.
Called it. I said it last time.
Mm,
Makima gave up both of her eyes and her senses in order to use future sight. I called it.
I don't know. I mean, are they like the same?
They're both Makima has more circles, but they both have gold and the purple circles to them. Makima's eyes just have more circles than the future devils.
So I would think if anything, it's probably just a different devil.
I believe that Makima has contracts with probably several different devils, but I'm calling it that future devil's one of them.
I think several different devils makes the most sense to me.
So we see Denji and Power training with Kishibe, and we're learning that they're progressing through the training. They're still getting their ass beat, but not as badly. And Kishibe's like, all right, you know what? You only have to train once a week instead of daily. But I also wish we saw more of their training.
Yeah, I feel like because they have 12 episodes, they have to cut some stuff. Like, I imagine there'll be more of this in the manga if you were to read the manga, I would assume. But episode wise, they're cutting some of this out to try to push the story along a little bit more because we only have this and next episode, so they're running out of time.
So then we see Kishibe sit down to eat dinner with Makima, and they're talking, and Makima's asking how the training's going, and Kishibe is actually starting to like Power and Denji, and they keep talking about the incident. And I love how Kishibe is the only person to actually stand up to Makima and call her out on her bullshit. Like, he's like, look, I don't care if you knew this was going to happen, but if you say it's for the goodness of mankind, then I believe you. But if there's some other bullshit going on, then we have a problem.
Yeah, he's Kishibe is like really cold and dead to the world at this point. But he does have this I guess this firm position to fight for mankind, despite what he said to Power and Denji in the previous episodes when he started their training. He seems to that he really does want to fight for humanity's sake, and he's kind of questioning Makima as a whole, I guess, as to what she knew, which goes back to my theory about the future devil. It's all pointing.
Hmm.
It's all pointing, man. I'm just calling it out.
Hey, they don't define the future devil's powers, do they? Like how far in the future you can see? I may have missed
Next
that.
in episode 12, we learn, at least for Aki, it's just for a few moments, but that may not be the case for the other two people the future devil is contracted with.
Right.
I feel like the more that you would give up, the more power of the future devil you will have. So since Aki didn't really give anything, other than the fact that he has knowledge that he's going to die in a terrible way. He only has a little bit of future sight. Where Makima giving up both of her eyes and senses makes me think that she can see a lot farther into the future.
Well, hold up though. I do want to say in argument to that they didn't say like the more you give up, the more you get. They just said like, oh, if he likes you, he'll make a contract with you, and he determines the terms. So I think he gave the same terms to Aki as he did to the guy who gave up half his life. Personally, because it's I don't think the price matters. I think it's just if the guy it depends on how much power the guy's willing to let you have. That's my thought personally.
And that could be very true.
The one thing we don't know about devil contracts is if you're contracted to multiple people, does that weaken the devil's power?
That's an interesting thought.
You
That's
have a
interesting.
pie, and if only one person's eating the pie, they get the whole pie. You start giving it to two people, now you're sharing it 50-50, then 33%, then 25, and like, is it the laws of diminishing returns with these devils?
That's a legitimate question.
Well, you're right. What if when we talk about the fox, right? Back in the day when Aki was using it, what if two guys tried to call the fox at the same time? Like, can he only show up for one of them?
That's also a good question. These are questions that will hopefully be answered in season 2. Please let there be season 2. Please let there be season 2.
I also wonder, no one has stood up to Makima before, and Makima's letting Kishibe go on this rant. I wonder if he was her master for her to like not say anything and like be up like somewhat upfront with him.
That's a good possibility because I believe he said when he begins the training episode with Denji and Power that like he is one of, if not the best devil hunter that they have. So he's like top gun. So there's a good chance that he's trained everybody underneath him.
I'd say that could be accurate. Maybe because Makima appears younger than him by a good bit, right?
True.
Yeah.
So I mean, he could have potentially trained her. So they probably have a long and storied history that we just don't know about.
Maybe we'll find that out in season 2 as well.
So we see Arcane and Katana Man walking, preparing for the attack from public safety, and Arcane's like, "All right, they're talking a bunch of Yakuza low hanging fruit members, and they're like, go down here, just don't get bit. And they're like, what do you mean don't get bit? Like, what's down there? And we find out that the zombie army from episode 1 is back, and that the zombies are paying off their outstanding debt to the Yakuza this way. And any human that is bitten by a zombie becomes a zombie as well.
I was a little confused with that because I thought Denji killed all of the zombies from episode 1. So, like,
That's what I thought too. So
I
I was also very confused.
I thought that as well, unless they had like maybe the Yakuza are like, all right, we're gonna have zombie armies located in multiple spots.
that could be. I mean, is the zombie devil really dead? Was it resurrected? We don't see the zombie devil, we just see zombies in this episode. So, maybe one survived and they just threw it in the basement. When they wanted to get rid of somebody, they just tossed it down there and made more. I don't know, but I thought Denji killed all of them in like episode 1. So,
Next, we see Makima meeting with the Yakuza and the leader, and what I'm assuming are like his top guns. And the Yakuza leader claims they had nothing to do with the hit. This was all Arcane and Katana Man. They are also like they're willing to do whatever is needed to help public safety out. Um, and we learn that the contract that Arcane and Katana Man and everyone involved with the shooting made with the Gun Devil was 20,000 yen for one gun and ammo. And it's like, why does the Gun Devil want money?
that is a really good question because none of the devils at this point have shown any kind of interest in money that I can recall.
I would agree with that. It's very bizarre. There's definitely some sort of plot going on in the background. And with a lot of these types of things, usually, they think that the Gun Devil's the big bad, but there's really like someone else, probably.
That's a good point. I mean, what if the gun devil is really like small fish compared to whoever is really in charge? And all the destruction that the gun devil has caused, like, that's a scary thought, actually.
There's always a bigger fish.
That's what they say.
So Makima asked the Yakuza leader for all the names of the people involved with the hit, and the Yakuza leader is happy to oblige. Like, yep, here you go. Happy to help. What he's not happy to help with is when Makima asks for the names of all the other houses, and he's like, do you want to start a gang war? Like, no, I'm not giving you that information.
Makima has this still look on her face where she's complete stone, no emotion. It's this faint little smile, like, give me what I need, or else. And I really, really love this entire scene. It's really good.
She's on our side, I think, but she gives me the heebie-jeebies.
For sure.
Was I the only person thinking someone was losing a finger when they showed the cigar cutter?
Uh,
I didn't think about that, but this show is gory enough that it would go there. So
So Makima's like, all right, you don't want to play ball? Well, that's a shame because I guess I'm going to have to go to plan B. And she pulls out this bag, and the Yakuza's like, I'm not selling out the names of everyone else for that little itty bitty bag of money. She's like, you think this is money? You don't realize what kind of sick fuck I am.
oh, isn't that the truth?
So she drops the bag on the table, and she's like, we collected something from all the loved ones in this room. And by certain, what we collected was their eyeballs. And the bag opens, and there's just a crap ton of eyeballs.
I was not prepared for that.
I was not expecting that as well. Really came out of nowhere.
Makima is very dark, and she's very scary, but I still kind of like her.
And she insists, like, oh, well, if you play ball, we have someone at the back of the office. They can easily reattach these eyeballs, no problem. And they'll still function. It's like, wait, I beg your pardon. That's not how that works.
Probably has a contract with the Eyeball Devil.
Again, coming back to my theory, she gave up her eyes. Those are other eyes she got from somewhere else that somebody else plugged in her head. I'm not going to let this die. I'm calling it.
So the one Yakuza henchman guy tries to punch Makima and, like, is not okay with his loved one losing their eyeballs. And then he starts getting a nosebleed. I'm like, is Makima just melting this dude's brain right here and now?
Yeah, I'm wondering that myself.
I don't know what other abilities she has, but I'm going to say it's the brain melting devil.
I do like the meme value of this show where you could just like put any noun and then devil at the end.
I'm definitely going to start doing that now.
So next we're at the battleground. And we see Kashibe outside with the police saying, all right, you guys are just here to hang out. My guys are going in to clean up. We see Power, Denji, Aki, and Kobeni walking in, and he tells the police, like, hey, you're here to stop my team if things go awry. Like, there will be way more people dying if they get out and things go wrong than if you go in there and try and help out.
I mean, let's be real. I feel like if the team went rogue, those cops could not do a thing against them.
That could definitely be accurate.
Especially when we see the other devils and fiends in the basement that are helping public safety out.
Yeah, there's no way the cops are making it out of a fight with those guys.
Then again, we saw how effective guns are, except against Denji. Never mind.
Well, Denji has main character armor.
Ah, that's true.
That is kind of true.
So these devils and fiends we meet are the Shark Fiend, who is absolutely ridiculous, by the way.
Oh, he's so ridiculous, and I love it.
And his power is that he can swim through any surface, including concrete, and we see him just eating the zombie army.
Very funny.
Yeah, it's like you only get turned into a zombie if you get bit, but shouldn't that also work if you bite them?
I would
Maybe
think so.
maybe the zombies become shark zombies.
I wonder if like the fiends and devils are immune to the zombies, where if like a person were to eat a piece of zombie flesh, they would turn into a zombie.
Oh, that's true.
I think we learn they are immune because later on we see in episode 12 we see Power eating a zombie arm.
Yeah, we'll talk about that scene when we get there.
So then the Shark Fiend is attacked by the Violence Fiend, and the Violence Fiend thinks that the Shark Fiend is a zombie, and we learn that fiends are less powerful than the devils they once were.
Yeah, that was a nice piece of information that they just threw in at the end of the show and like didn't talk about it any farther.
Well, because it makes you wonder about power. Like that's power backstory right there.
Yeah, because I mean, she's the Blood Fiend, so does that mean she was at one point the Blood Devil?
Seems to be yes.
Did they ever even explain how fiends come to be? Like what happens to the devil that they turn into a fiend?
Well, it made it at that the beginning of the season. They made it seem like fiends can be possessed by devils, or it ends up being like a human is possessed by a devil, and they become a fiend that way.
Okay.
But it also seems like I guess devils can lose power and become fiends.
It's really unclear.
There is someone listening to this who's like read all the manga, just like screaming at their phone or computer right now, like the answer to all of our questions.
If you have the answers to our questions, feel free to email us at animebanterpodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. Let us know because I'm not reading the manga and I want a season two and I want it to explain that. So let's get going, Animation Studio. Season two.
So after the Violence Fiend, we learn about the Spider Devil, and the Spider Devil is straight up terrifying. Like, I'm not
Oh
afraid of
yeah.
spiders. I know some people are,
Me. I'll
but
come right out and say it. I do not like spiders. I know they're important and they need to exist. I don't like them. I want to be far away from them.
and then finally there's the Angel Devil, who shows no hostility towards humans, but if they are touched, it will take years off a person's life.
Very interesting devil.
I really liked this team up montage we got.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of what the Suicide Squad.
Yes,
It reminds me like the Suicide Squad, which I haven't seen either of those movies.
you,
I guess the second one's better than the first one, but
you can skip the first one. What the second one is good.
okay. But it reminds me of that where you just get like these villainous type characters and put them on a team to try to do good.
And all I could say is so much for that all powerful zombie army.
Yeah, right. Not even close.
They got absolutely wrecked. So we see Arcane, and she starts getting a nosebleed. I'm like, oh, Makima's gonna melt your brain.
She's at it again. She's putting that list to good use.
And Aki shows up, seeing Arcane, and they're ready to square up. And Arcane calls the Snake Devil and tells it to spit it out. And what it spits out is the Ghost Devil. And it seemed like Arcane was able to control the Ghost Devil. So my question is, Can Arcane make contracts with any devil that's swallowed by the snake devil without having to make contracts?
I was wondering the exact same thing. I was like, this doesn't seem consistent with the lore.
No, I got that vibe as well.
It almost felt like, we need some quick power creep to make the episode happen. So here we go.
What I think would be an interesting twist if they would have done is just have like the Ghost Devil go rogue and attack both of them. That would have made it more interesting, but it solely squares up against Aki here. So yeah, I was wondering that too.
I am very excited for this Aki versus Arcane fight that's teased. But I also feel terrible for Aki having to fight the devil that was contracted to Himeno.
Yeah, that felt bad.
I can't remember what Aki says when he sees the Ghost Devil, but I know he's not happy about this. He's very upset.
So the episode ends with the ghost devil beginning to attack Aki, and we hear the future devil say, "I will only let when you use my power, you will only be able to see a few moments into the future," which I mean we've talked about. It seems like a weak power for it being a powerful devil.
I wonder if like the more Aki uses it and gets used to it, he'll get better with it and can see farther than just a few moments.
Oh yeah, maybe it's like a practice thing. If he and the future devil become more in tune with each other, maybe he can see further.
So that concludes episode 11. Turtle, would you like to talk about the end credit song?
Yes, this song is called "Violence" by Queen Bee. It's a very like techno rave type song, but it's pretty catchy. The visuals are actually all in black and white for this one, and I think the animation is a mix between like CG rendering as well as hand drawn animation. And with a song being called Violence, the ending animation is actually very non-violent. There's not a lot of like blood or guts or gore going on. It's a lot of characters just running around and almost like this like inside a computer world type visuals. But again, everything's in black and white. But I like this song. It's pretty good. Pretty cool visuals.
And that brings us to the season 1 finale, episode 12, Katana vs. Chainsaw. And we get Himino right off the get go. And I'm like, ah, stop making me cry, show. I miss her.
This show is so mean when it comes to her.
And we get a flashback of Himino and Aki. And it's Himino trying to get Aki to smoke. Like, come on, this is going to be a long partnership. You need a good addiction. Smoke with me. And Aki's like, fine, I will smoke with you. And Aki's like, you're a bad mentor for trying to get a minor to smoke. And Himeno has a bad judge of who is and isn't a minor.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that that's accurate based on what we've seen.
Yeah, her track record's not so good with this.
So she says, all right, I will hold this cigarette for you down the road and we can smoke it later. And the ghost devil stops choking Aki and offers him a cigarette. And it ends up saying easy revenge. And it's the cigarette that Himeno was holding for Aki. And I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah, this was a tearjerker moment for me for sure.
It was very cool, and he gets his moment with her later.
I just loved how the cigarette said easy revenge.
Yeah,
So Aki stops panicking. The ghost devil just freezes. And we learn that Himeno told Aki because the ghost devil doesn't have eyes, it sees through fear. And Aki's like, thanks for the tip, Himeno. And at this moment, Arcane realizes that she is fucked.
oh yeah. The look on her face just says it all. She's like, I think I'm gonna lose this fight.
And she goes to summon the snake devil, and Aki tells her, don't. Like, stop. You've already lost. And then we see Kobeni is holding a knife to Arcane's neck.
Kobeni again, like,
She she is sneaky.
You never expect her.
So after they arrest Arcane, Aki asks Kobeni why she stuck around when she was going to quit, and we find out she only stuck around because bonuses are right around the corner.
I mean, she did say that she's doing this job for the cash, so it makes sense.
that is the main reason she's doing it.
It's also interesting because when Aki first met Denji, he hated Denji because he just assumed Denji was doing it for the money and the lifestyle. But he hasn't said anything to Kobeni about doing it for the same reasons.
That's a good point.
So in the elevator, we see Denji and Power, and Power's just nomming away at a zombie arm like it's a big old turkey leg.
Confirms that, if you eat a zombie and you're a fiend, I guess you just can't turn into one.
And I think the upcoming scene here might be my favorite part in the episode.
I just love how Denji's like, that has to be terrible. And Power's like, if it's meat, I eat.
Power's dialogue. It's incredible.
So the elevator stops and it opens, and we see a hallway full of zombies. And Denji's like, hey, they don't see us. We could just sneak right on by. We don't have to fight. And Power's like, huh, fuck that. I got to kill.
This whole scene is exceptional.
I love it so much when she's like, "Back me up, Denji," and he just continues on up the elevator.
He's just like, he's like, I'm gonna hit the. Oh, I'm accidentally hitting the closed door button. Sorry.
The
Have
look on
fun.
his face, just the look on Denji's face where she jumps out of the elevator and she's like, "Have my back, Denji." And he's just like, "I cannot believe what is happening." And the doors just close and he is unfazed and he just takes off. And she doesn't even know he's gone. She's fighting them and she's like, "Come on, Denji, watch me." And he's like, "He's gone. He left." I died. I watched these episodes twice before recording this, and I laughed at this scene both times. It's just it's really funny.
I love the Power and Denji dynamic.
Oh, they're incredible. I mean, I would take a spin-off show of just them being silly for 20 minutes at a time.
I'd also be down with that.
She's a fiend, and he's a devil hunter. Together they make the odd couple. Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, just like a slice of life show with normal people and them, and they have to be normal, and they can't. That I would watch that.
So Denji's riding the elevator up, and he's yawning. It's like, dude, how are you tired before the biggest fight of your life?
I think he's just bored. Like he wants to fight already. He's sick of waiting.
And riding the elevator is pretty boring.
That's true. Especially if there's no music involved.
I
Also,
was
Denji just doesn't think like a normal person.
And I was going to say about the music, I was actually surprised now that I think about it, they didn't have any kind of elevator music going on. It was a missed opportunity.
The elevator door opens, and I'm like, all right, the rematch we've been waiting for. Except Katana Man doesn't want to fight. He's looking to talk to Denji, and he's like, don't you feel any remorse for killing all those zombies? And why don't you just die to pay back your debt to my grandpa? And you suck, and this and that. And like, he's just trying to get under Denji's skin.
And Denji just doesn't care.
This guy's logic absolutely baffled me. He's like, "Yeah, you definitely feel bad for like killing my grandpa," and and you think about all the horrible things that Denji went through because of that guy's family. And he's like, "Can you believe this guy's so soulless without a conscience that he." And I'm like, is this guy like? There's something wrong with him. Like, does he believe what he's saying? Is he just trying to make Denji mad? Like, I was like, does he not know what his grandpa put Denji through this whole time?
I'm sure there's also family bias. Like,
There's
it's, hey, that's my grandfather, and he spoiled me, and he was this great guy to me, and there's no way he could have been an asshole to anyone.
Is this guy for real?
And so Denji's like, yeah, I'm not gonna do any of that shit. I don't feel bad. We're gonna fight. And I love how Katana Man just pulls his hand off, and there's a blade just right there. Like, that animation was fantastic.
It was.
So the fight begins, and Denji still seems outmatched. Like, it's not as lopsided as the first fight. Denji actually has Katana Man playing some defense, and Katana Man's not getting as many big blows in on him. But when the Katana Man hits, he hits Denji hard.
oh yeah.
Yeah, they're up on the rooftops, and he gives Denji a good smack and sends him flying across like 2 or 3 roofs into like a sign. He hits hard.
And one of my favorite quotes of this episode, and maybe of the whole season, Katana Man's like, dude, just give up. Like, you're beaten. Give up. And Denji's like, if I have a pulse, I have a chance.
That is a good line. I
That was
forgot
a good
about that
line.
one.
Yep.
There's one coming up that I liked, and I remembered. I forgot about this one, but that's a great line.
So they're in a train and they're fighting, and Denji loses an arm. And all I could think of was Monty Python. "'Tis but a scratch." "A scratch? You have no arm."
I was watching the episode and I said, "'Tis just a flesh wound."
I said the same thing after Denji lost his other arm.
Get back here! I'll bite your kneecaps off.
I mean, Denji had that energy going. He's like, "Yeah, I'm still gonna fight. I don't need arms.
It
I
was
got a
delightfully
chainsaw
Monty
head."
Python.
Oh yeah. See, he lost his arm though trying to protect that one person on the train, which again he's still willing to protect random people, whereas Katana Man clearly did not care.
So Denji charges at Katana Man with his face chainsaw, and we see the face chainsaw breaking and just shattering. And Katana Man's like, "What? It's over. Like, you're beat." And Denji's line here was incredible.
This is the line I was talking about before.
"You put the dick in predictable.
I
I lost it."
love this. I want to use this on a regular basis.
It was so good. It was so good.
It's such a great line.
And Katana Man's like, "What the hell are you talking about? Like, you have no chainsaws. You're done." And the Katana Man is just cut in half. And we see Denji use the fucking leg chainsaw. And we
Woo!
called it back in episode 1.
Oh, it was a beautiful moment. Beautiful moment. Katana Man's like, I've got this. I broke your last head chainsaw. You're done. And then he just splits from head to groin. And Denji's like, I got legs, fool. I was like, this is incredible.
I was a
Obviously,
big
the
fan.
the training with Kishibe paid off.
Absolutely.
So you know he did that once in the training with him at least.
Oh, I'm sure. He's been practicing.
So then we see Katana Man is back to his human form, and he is tied up with a chainsaw blade of all things.
I like that touch. That was
Yeah.
nice.
And Aki shows up. He's like, "Ah, I see you won. Good job. I'll call it in." And Denji's like, "Well, how about a competition first?" And Aki's like, What? A competition?" And Denji's like, "Yeah, we take turns kicking this guy in the nuts." And Aki's like, "No, like, come on, like, no, we shouldn't." Like, Aki's being his normal self, being very straight edge. Like, that wouldn't be right. And Katana Man's like, "Please no, don't kick me in the nuts, don't do it." And then Aki's like, "You know what? This would be good payback for him and O." And all I could think of was, it's nuts or nothing.
Yep.
Hmm.
And I love how Aki's like, "I don't think Himeno would approve of this nut kicking contest." And I strongly beg to differ, because if there's anything we've seen from Himeno, she would get an absolute kick out of this.
No pun intended. Yeah, I would agree. I feel like Himeno would be all in for this, despite what Aki said.
And Aki only agrees to do the contest after looking at the cigarette that says "Easy Revenge."
Yeah.
And I love how when they kick him in the nuts, they brought the nut kick thing back.
Yeah. That metal bell sound.
And Denji is having the time of his life during this.
And it was kind of good to see Aki kind of, cut loose a little bit.
He
And
actually cracked a smile.
yeah, not he wasn't wound quite so tight there. There's a moment, and he had a little speech to Himeno like, "Hey, this requiem is for you up there." And I'm not one for nut shots, but I felt that was a little cathartic for me.
The real question is this how Denji and Aki become BFFs?
I think this is a big step for the two of them.
Especially they're all, I guess they're all still living together, so it's kind of important that they all kind of bond at least a little bit.
So next we see Makima explaining the situation of what just happened to the president of the board. And we learn that the Snake Devil ate Arcane, and they believe it was suicide. And I don't know if I believe that or not.
Yeah, I think they made. I think Makima made mention to the board there that it's possible it was a breach in contract, which caused the Snake Devil to eat her, or maybe something from the Gun Devil even. caused her head to be blown off her.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself. I feel like Machima definitely had something to do with that.
That could be as well.
That's sort of how I was leaning.
Because she had the nosebleed earlier in the fight, so it's very possible that Makima sort of melted her brain too.
So we learn that after this fight, they have enough bullet material to be able to track the gun devil.
Everything has been leading to this.
The president of the board asks, "Where is the gun devil?" But we don't find out the answer.
No! When season two?
So that begins the credits, and like most anime end of season, end of series credits, we get a scene playing out during the credits. And after the credits roll, we see Aki go outside and he smokes the Easy Revenge cigarette.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments.
A little bit of closure.
Yeah.
I really like that. Like, all right, here's that cigarette I promised you all those years ago.
I was wondering, like, was he gonna put it back in the pack and keep it and save it, or was he gonna smoke it? Because that's sort of like the only thing he's got left from her, physically anyway.
Then we see Denji has fallen asleep, and he is. We see like how episode one began, the hallway walk leading up to a door, and we see it as a younger version of Denji, and we hear him the younger version talking up, saying he's been having this dream for years. He always sees this door, but he never like remembers the dream. And then we hear Pochita behind the door, and Denji's like, "Oh, can I pet you? Like, can I open the door to see you? Like, let me just stick my hand in through like the mail slot to pet you." And Pochita tells Denji he must never open the door. What's behind the door?
Yeah, that's some weird stuff right there.
Pochita is behind the door. Yeah, that could be anything. Maybe like the full chainsaw devil behind that door, and Denji will be lost forever as himself, and who knows?
Yeah, what if they switch places and Pochita becomes the primary personality?
Oh,
That could be. And then the season ends. We don't see this woman. We just see the countryside, and we hear a woman asking Denji if he would rather be a country mouse or a city mouse.
there's too many questions to not have a season two. Where is season two?
I want to know who this woman is.
I know.
I was greatly confused by that part.
Turtle, would you like? I know we jumped ahead of the end credit song. Would you like to now discuss the end credit song?
Yeah. We'll backtrack a little bit because they stick this all those extra scenes after the credits to set up for a season two. So, but the end credits themselves, the song is called "Fight Song" by Eve. It's another pop rock song. Go figure. It is pretty catchy. The visuals are what's really cool though because it like continues the episode. We see some flashbacks in the beginning of the song to the early episodes of how the three main characters met with Denji, Power, and Aki. And then it kind of, after the flashback, shows them hanging out in like the present day, I assume, after completing their mission here. So they're walking around town. Power's drinking from a water fountain. They're visiting a temple. Power's riding on one of them spring riders, and she's having a really great time, by the way. Then the group goes to the grocery store, so they're buying food, and it even shows with Power throwing stuff in the cart. Denji's looking at stuff. Aki's kind of watching them out of the corner of his eye, and it even shows him cracking a smile, which shows that he's starting to warm up to these two, and they're actually kind of bonding, which is really cool. And then they show them walking back to the apartment, and the music kind of slows down for a minute as it shows Denji just like sinking into the bathtub, just relaxing, which gave me a chuckle. That was really good. And then they prepare the feast, and then they dig in. They eat this huge meal. They're drinking booze, they're eating all the food, having a good time, and then they sort of kick back and relax. Genji looks like he's going to fall asleep, which leads into that dream sequence, which is really cool. Power's playing with Meowie, and Aki after this goes out to have the smoke. So it's a really cool ending song, really great visuals, continuing the story, and it just makes me want a season two even more. Please let there be a season two.
So overall, really like these two episodes. There were a lot of full circle moments, especially in the finale. We saw the return of the zombie army from episode one. We saw how they absolutely get demolished. We saw the return of the door that opened the season. We see how much stronger Denji and Power have gotten from their training. I feel like I say this bit every week though. I wish we got more from the fight of Denji against Katana Man and Arcane versus Aki. I also will say Makima scares the living hell out of me.
Yeah, she freaks me out too. I still want to know more about her, but she definitely freaks me out. She's got some crazy abilities.
Yeah, or this is one of those like you have to stoop to their level type of things. It's like, hey, the devils are willing to do it, so we should be willing to do freaky stuff too.
Yeah, it's like in order to save humanity, you have to sacrifice your humanity.
It could end up that way.
Because Makima does not seem very human at this point. She's very cold and detached and is just doing whatever it takes.
And with that, we have come to the Waifu of the Week segment. Turtle, who did you pick this week and why?
For this week, the final two episodes of Chainsaw Man, I chose Denji. Not only is he our main character, but they had the training not so much montage because they don't show a lot of that. What they did show was pretty funny, but you get to see the payoff of his training, where him and Power have obviously improved. During the fight with Katana Man, Denji is very kind of defensive at first. He's kind of studying his opponent a little bit, looking for what his openings are. He's clearly gotten stronger. He's gotten better, and he's gotten smarter in a fight, which is important as well. Um, but the main reason, again, dialogue has been incredible for this. But you put the dick in predictable. That's going to stick with me forever.
Sean, who did you pick this week and why?
I picked Himeno. I really like that they gave a lot of closure to the arc between her and Aki. Uh, the cigarette was a nice touch. Her helping him kind of defeat the ghost devil was really like icing on the cake there. She got her revenge, he got his revenge, and like I said, he has closure now, which is they wrapped it up very nice and neat.
I'm gonna go with Aki this week. From his get the job done mentality with the future devil, like, I don't care what you want. I'm not here for your games. Let's partner up. You are a means to an end to me. His fight with Arcane, and you knew like he could have ended her very easily, and he stopped before he took it farther. And then at the end of the season, the whole nut kicking and finally playing along with Denji's games and deciding, you know what, I will do this with you and I will do this for Himeno. So that concludes season one of Chainsaw Man. Overall, I really enjoyed the season, but I feel like the season could have been longer. And I'm not even saying a full slate 23, 25 episode season. I think if they would have went to 16 episodes, it would have been perfect. It would have let things stretch out a little bit. They could have let this fight stretch out a bit. It felt like they would keep building to these big moments, and the big moments would be over in the span of a half an episode. It felt like you would keep building, keep building, keep building, and the conclusion would happen in the snap of a finger. With that said, though, obviously I really hope we get a second season with all the questions we have from this finale. Where are they heading to fight the Gun Devil? How does Aki die? Who was the woman talking to Denji at the end of the episode? And what's behind Denji's dream door?
So many questions. I also the season felt like it ended a little awkwardly because it felt like things were just heating up a little bit, and then they had to call it quits because that's how long the contract's for. But yeah, like I was ready. They're like, "All right, here we go. We're going to get the Gun Devil." And I'm like, "Oh wait, it's the last episode." Okay, well, how about that? And like you said, I'm worried we're gonna do all this research, whatever, find the gun devil. They're gonna beat him in like 7 minutes in an episode because, like you said, things did feel almost a little rushed. Like we could have prolonged some of these fight scenes for a little more epic action.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed season one of this show. I also feel that they some things were cut, for time constraints. Back in like the '90s, one season of an anime would typically be about 26 episodes. Over time, it has shrunk to like 12. Sometimes I see 13, and even having one more episode just to flesh things out a little bit, I think would benefit the show. But I'm sure, like if you read the manga, all so half of our questions we have were cut for time's sake. But I still really enjoyed the show. I like the characters. I would love to see a season two. Sadly, at least as far as recording this, it's not been announced. But I'm going to hold out hope that there is a season two and we get some more answers to some of these questions. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really good. If you didn't watch along with us, go check it out. I definitely think it's worth a watch.
My whole thinking with things being cut short, it's like I'm not saying it needs to be dragged out like DBZ was, but you need to pay some of the big moments time.
Agreed.
Yeah, think about the way maybe like Demon Slayer does theirs, and how every fight feels so epic in Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
That's partly the animation studio is just absolutely insane, but like, and obviously the art style for Chainsaw Man's a little different. It's a little more realistic and grittier. Uh, but yeah, like I don't know. I feel like in Demons, like every fight feels very important. Where in this one, like some of the fights, you feel like they're just transitional. It's like, oh, this fight isn't very important because like we're just leading to the next thing, kind of.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think even like the biggest example of that was the Eternity Devil, where they had such a big build up for like an episode and a half for it to be resolved in a few moments, and then we move on to the bar scene afterwards.
I mean, could you imagine if the fight between All Might and All for One in My Hero was half an episode? Like that fight was epic.
Yeah, you definitely want to be able to spend some time with the characters in and outside of the battles if it's going to be like a fight show like this is. And I just, even just one or two more episodes to flesh things out a little bit better and not just brush past certain elements, I think would have done the show really, really well. But I do still really enjoy it. I like the story.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that the story in this one shines kind of brightly. I like the intrigue. There are a lot of questions, and I guess now I think about it, maybe in some ways I don't mind that the fights aren't quite as fleshed out if we get a little more story, because it seems like this is very rich in story.
Oh, I definitely love the story of this show.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I want more, and I guess that's the ultimate point of something like this. An episodic release is you want your viewers to want to continue watching, and they have me hooked. So please don't leave me hanging.
So with that, I would like to thank you all for joining us this week as we completed season 1 of Chainsaw Man. We hope you join us next week for episode 7 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will be doing a special viewing of Star Wars Visions Volume 2 on Disney+. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove. On there, get with a friend and play through RPG games. So if you're into that sort of thing, please check me out. Subscribe, like the videos. I really appreciate it.
Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
While right now we are not filming the Deepman Files podcast, we are beginning season 2 prep already. So things are definitely in full swing. So please check out the first 13 episodes where you listen to podcasts. That is the Deepman Files.
The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.